So as you can see, recently there's been some amazing Saxon artifacts found by two detectorists. Friends of mine, Paul and Chris, have just found the most amazing items. As soon as I saw them, I just thought I need to have a go at making these. I've always been fascinated in how the ancestors made some of their items, the techniques they used, and I just love gaining a better understanding on how they done it, and the best way for me to do that is to have a go at making them. I just want to thank Paul and Chris. They invited me to the British Museum to go and have a look at them. It was so nice to just pick them up, have a look and take some pictures. Seeing them in real life is a pleasure. Surprising how heavy they were, and the feathers, they're like a stylized feather on the bird. As you can see, it's covered in like an iridescence on the metal, and pretty sure that's done on purpose. I don't think it's a type of patination. Looks amazing. That was a challenge to recreate, and I was it's just been a pleasure to do it. I've certainly gained a better understanding, and I just want to thank them both, and I hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. So this is the epoxy sculpt the next day. It's nice and hard now. It's a nice material to work with. I've only roughed out the shape, ready for filing and more refinement. So I'm not going to film all of that because it'll be boring. So I'll film it back when I get more of the detail that I'm looking for. Right, I'm now at this stage after a lot of filing and shaping. I've got the dimensions of the piece ready for casting. It was a toss-up between forming it in sheets of silver and soldering it, because I do believe this line across the top in the original's been soldered, so it was folded round, soldered and shaped. But for me, I just think it will be easier for me to just cast it, so that I want the beak to be solid, because the original is quite heavy. So I've only gone down about where my thumb is with the hole, and it's still leaving the sides very thick, which I don't know whether or not I'll grind some of that out. It might be unnecessary to just have that much silver wasted really, but we'll see. I'll see how it pans out, but for now, ready for cast. So this is the mould. I just got to take that out, prep all the mould up, ready for pouring the silver. Yeah, so this is it straight out the cast. Still got the sprue on it. It's not too bad. It's turned out alright. So a bit of polishing, a lot of filing. I shall get that sorted. So that's my guide now for that pattern at the top of the beak. Let me show you. Oh, where are we? It's funny, as I was just doing this, I was thinking about this silver. This was a lot of old silver cutlery that somebody was going to take to the scrap, so nice to sort of save it and make something from it. A lot of cutlery's gone into this, so I'm pretty sure I've got the dimensions set now. Paul and Chris, the finders, did exactly the right thing. once they'd found it and realised the significance, called in the archaeologist, didn't clean it, left the site ready to be excavated. Hopefully they can be involved in that, in the archaeological dig. Maybe get them detecting the spoil heap. So nothing gets missed. Okay, so I've rolled some silver through the rolling mill to the right thickness, and I made some little templates, cut these out. I've made a little dish to the same profile as the bird, just used a block of I believe that's ash, block of wood, and I'm using this nylon hammer, and I'm literally just bashing it away. I anneal it every once in a while just to keep it soft, and that's it really. I'll just keep working that. I'm not going to hit it too hard with the hammer because it's so annoying, the sound. I'll just keep doing that until it fits the profile, and then I'll trim, cut and adjust all that till it gets the right size. But that's the gist of it. I'm not going to film the rest of that because it's just noisy, pointless. So yeah, but that's how I'm doing the jackets. So what I've done, I've drilled the holes where the actual pins or nails actually go, and I've done that just so that I can make sure that once I've took this jacket off and soldered the eye and soldered the feathers on, that it'll go back to this exact spot. I've also found a washer that's the exact dimensions, 7.73 in diameter. It goes there. It's funny how once you put an eye on something, it just brings it to life. So that's roughly what the eye placement will be for now, but it'll allow me just to mark everything up, and then I can take these pins out. I'm winging this. My issue at the moment is how to solder these beaded wires on the feathers without, because of the curvature, without them sliding off or moving. I may have to just unfold it a bit anyway, and that was the purpose of me putting these pins in now, so that when I do fold it back I can just make sure and use these as the keys so that it goes back to exactly this spot. But for now that's not looking too bad. I've give the beak a bit more definition. So we're getting closer. I think we're good. Them two are now ready for solder. They're not 100% perfectly round at the minute, but I'll solder them and then I can make them round. They're also what was it, 2.71 on the. They also need a little bit of sanding down. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to just sand them with a bit of a curl so that it matches the profile, and it will sit snugly ready for soldering on. So for now I can solder these. That's them two soldered up, ready. I've got to make sure I'll get the centrepiece done as well. So I'm just soldering the eye on, and I'm going to use hard solder for this, because I will be using soft for the bead work. No doubt this will pop and jump up in the air when I heat it, because the gas is in the solder, in the flux rather. It's going to want to evaporate. There we go, jumpy jumpy. So I just need to push those bits to the end. There we go. I'll put a bit more in there, won't I? You won't see the inside of this anyway. Right, so if I direct the heat on the bottom, the solder will flow towards the heat. Any minute now. There we go. And I will drop that in some pickle. You might hear it hiss from there. There we go. The pickle will get rid of the oxidisation. So I decided to make the ring that was found as well. Although I don't believe it's an actual finger ring. I think it's part of the bird, but who knows. I just wanted to point out, making the bead wire, I've had to make where the little S patterns are in between each segment. I just wanted to point out how small they are, and I'm having real trouble bending it tight because of where I've rolled the bead. They're like weak points, and it keeps snapping when even though I'm annealing it to soften it, make it more pliable. This is probably the 4th attempt to do this little piece, and it's still not curled up real tight how I want it. I mean, I just wanted to point out again the skill that they had. Although having said that, to be fair, when they make them in gold is a lot more pliable than silver. But even so, still unbelievable. And this isn't, like I say, it's not curled up as tight as I want it. It's just, yeah, unbelievable. So I shall show you that at the end. So I'm just using this draw plate to bring down the gauge of this silver wire. Each time you put it through, you can go smaller and smaller. I
want it about 1 mil thickness to be able to do that bead work. Every few times you put it through, you've got to anneal the silver, which just makes it softer, stops it splitting. Oh, that's a bit too much bigger hole. Where were we? There we go. So what I'm going to do now is just anneal it again, which you basically want to just bring it up to not quite cherry red, and quench it in water, and that makes the silver more pliable. So you can see how much I've zoomed in. This is just a CD. There's my blade, the back of the blade, where I've made this channel. It's sort of like a U shape, semicircle. So I've got my piece of silver wire. I've already started it actually, but I thought I might as well film the process of. So what I'm doing is I'm sliding it along, and I'm feeling the groove when it sits in the slot, like it just did there. Then I put my finger on the top of the knife and roll backwards and forwards. Find the next one. I'll do a few of these so that this is in a roundabout way how the Saxons done it. But to imagine this is I think it's under a mil in diameter, but some of the ones, like the one I've got, is 0.3 mil in diameter, and it has these beaded work patterns on. And you can't create that beadwork by twisting this wire. This is the only way you can really create it, by rolling it. But once you get going, it's not too bad. But like I say, just to consider how they done this. They say they used children because they had better eyesight. I still don't know whether they had some form of magnification. Don't know if they could have polished rock crystal or something to get a clear optics to see if it would magnify. Because to do this on the scale they were doing it, unless they just done it by feel. But as I say, you can see how quickly you can, with a bit of practice. And to be fair, it's took me a while to get this perfected, even just to make that groove the right thickness. And like if some of the, if you look very closely at some of the Saxon beadwork, it has this like distinctive line that runs through the centre of one of the beads. I'll put a picture up to show you. And I figured out how they've done that. As you're rolling this knife, if your blade is slightly off parallel, what it's doing, it's displacing half that rounded bead. It's displacing it over to one side, and then when you do the next line, it displaces the other side. So it basically pushes up two of the beads, which creates that distinctive line that runs down the centre of a bead. And it's just the process of altering the twist on this knife. Whether they done it on purpose because it added an extra nice pattern, don't know. Or whether it was just an accident, don't know. But either way, it's a really nice little way of doing it, and to appreciate how the Saxons done it. So if anyone wants to know how you recreate it, I would recommend this method. This isn't my idea. I just stumbled across this doing some research on how they created their beadwork. There's a few people out there that have written a few documents, and this was the consensus amongst them all. And as you can see, it does work, and it doesn't take too long once you get into the groove. What I'll do is I'll just hold that there, and I'll get a bit. I'll try and zoom in. Forgive me if it doesn't. Where are we? Right. So there we go. If I get a bit closer. Need to hold it still. This lens doesn't automatically, and the fact that there's some imperfections it's appealing. It's what I like, because it gives it more of a natural look. So there we have it. The stage I'm at now is I've soldered a little bit of the beadwork on, but I realise it would be much easier if I had some paste solder and to sweat solder onto this part. And that's what I'm waiting for. I've had to order some a tube of paste solder, because I think it'll be easier. This bit wasn't too hard, and I'm just literally forming the little feathers by just bending these round to the rough dimensions. I can adjust them later to suit, but that's my big challenge next, is to solder all of these on and stop them from moving. Again, this is why I think paste solder will be better, because when I heat it up, I can dry it out a little bit, so that when it comes to the soldering part, these little round beaded wires won't jump about. Hopefully they'll stay in place. So that's my hope anyway. So I'm just going to sit here making a few different sizes, but my logic is, if I make enough of them, I can just pick through which ones are most suitable. As you can see, I've rolled out a lot of this wire as well. Very tedious, but it's what needs to do. It's what I need to do. So I shall get back to you when I'm ready to do this next bit of soldering. I didn't solder, I didn't film me soldering them bits, or did I? I can't remember if I did. I think I filmed this bit, but not these bits. It was quite tricky actually to solder them without the pieces moving, and so that's why I left it until I get the paste solder, and then I can finish off. The gauge on these bits are slightly bigger than the feathers, only very slightly, and so yeah, I've made the gauge a bit smaller. As you can see, I think you can see anyway, I'm not sure what I'm looking at through there. So I will get back to you once I'm ready for the next part of soldering, because showing you me making these bits is just going to be pretty boring. So these are all slightly different sizes, and I'm basically just lining them up, seeing which one fits and fits the pattern, and if I need to sort of pinch them and slightly adjust them, then I do. And it's just a case of filling it all up, ready for another round of solder. And there's the solder paste that I'm using to put the paste on with. I'm just blobbing bit of paste on the back, sticking it on, and then just bringing it over to be soldered like that. And I'll just carry that on all the way through. Just 4 segments. I've put my paste on. I'm just using this small butane torch, which is enough to just do this because it's only soft, the paste, so it goes. And then what I'll do is I'll carry it over and put it in my pickle to help with the oxidisation of it. But you'll see what I mean. This is only a small amount as well. I'm doing it from underneath just to help draw it away from the beadwork. Once I'm sort of got it, I can give it a little toast from the top. I'm only put such a small amount on, it's sometimes difficult to see when it pulls up. Pool as in swimming pool, not pull. So that's got it. And then I'll take this over and drop it in my pickle. That's not looking too bad, I'm pleased with that now. It's getting there. So I'll refine that, get that last bit soldered on, and then I'm gonna think about what have I got to do next. I've got to think about doing the inner eye, and then I've got to make the pins. I'm sure the pins are silver because they've not corroded, they've stayed silver colour, and I can't think of any other metal that would do that, so I'm sure they're silver, so I'll have to make them from silver. Get the eye sorted out, give it a clean and a polish, and then think about gold plating. So this is the wire that I'll be making the nails from. I've got to make eight nails. I've made one already, so, and this for me was the best method. There's people out there probably thinking, oh no, you shouldn't do it like that, but hey, whatever works. So I'm just going to round off the head. It's slightly mushroomed actually on the original, a bit like a rosebud nail, miniature one. They would have had an anvil, a miniature smithing anvil. They've actually, the lady at the British Museum when I was there, she said that she had seen an anvil that was found in the centre of a Bronze Age axe hoard. A miniature anvil. Only a few inches long. the significance of it being in a Bronze Age axe hoard was the context. Because it was in the centre of the hoard, it's dated the anvil. They categorically know that it's Bronze Age, so they've had anvils for a long time, like small miniature ones. That's pretty crude, but we can work with that. And I kind of want that crude look, because apart from the actual head, and what I want it to be really tight, so it almost acts like a rivet, so that it holds what I'm calling the jackets on, without having to solder them. I don't really want to solder if I can help it, simply because the bird's head is very thick, and to solder it I would need a lot of heat, and in doing so I think it would unsolder the beadwork. In fact, I'm pretty sure it would. So I want these to be very tight, so basically it's when I hammer them in, that's it, it's like a rivet. And we still don't know what it was actually for, whether it was the end of a drinking horn or whether it was some kind of ceremonial staff. But the nails would have went through whatever it was holding. I think I've said that before in a previous video. Got to get the underside of the head very flush, so that when it does go up tight, it doesn't stick up in the air. So I'll just get it down to by eye to what I think, and then I'll start marrying it up to the bird's head. And they're quite long, because on the original you can see through the inside where they stick out. Keep a little scrap bit of silver. Right, so that's tight already, but a bit too tight. Just got to be careful, I don't want to take too much off it though. As I say, it needs to be tight. What are we doing? Normally I do this at a different bench, but because I'm trying to film it, it's I'm doing it here, so I haven't got my peg. Right, so it's difficult to tell if that's going to be too tight. I don't want it too tight, because once I commit, I'm just thinking out loud, once I commit and start hitting it hard, if it gets stuck, that would not be good. So I've kind of got, it's a bit of guesswork this is. I think if I've done it a little bit squarer, is that a word, squarer? it would allow it to fold a bit easier, as opposed to having it just completely round. I just want to tidy the underside of this head up as well. Slightly leaning to one side the head, so I shall hammer that down, I think. I made these holes a little bit bigger, so there we go. I can use them as a gauge. That's not too bad, actually. That's not too bad. Maybe a tad too big. Where are we? But it don't look too bad. So I'm happy with that, because it's tight there, so that's the main one. It's very tight in there, but I just get the sense that if I hit that, it would wedge in there quite tight. So another 6 to make. Obviously I'm not going to film all them. Right, if I sound a bit muffled, it's because I've got a respirator on because of the chemicals. So what I've just finished was I used a nickel plating solution first to nickel plate it. Actually, no, rewind. A degreasing chemical, a really good chemical. What it does, it stops it. It makes it bead up, which is important if you're gold plating. So use that first to clean it, and then I nickel plated it, and then I used this gold plating solution and used it in a bottle warmer so it's warm, and this is the result. I intentionally wanted to try and get a different type of colour gold on the beadwork, because on the original it's different. So yeah, that's not turned out too bad. Can't really tell in this light, but there we go. I didn't film it because it was just too much to try and worry about messing around with all these chemicals and getting it all done right. So, but I'll get back to you in a bit. Right, this is the stage I'm at now after it's been gold plated. I've done the eye, which is looking really good. I was just figuring out, or trying to figure out, how to recreate this iridescence in these segments. As you can see, it's quite sporadic. In some areas it's more iridescent than others. I mean, in some of the other images you can see it's darker, but yeah, so desperately trying to recreate that. And after having a nice little chat with my good friend Sydney, yeah, my mate Sid Perry, suggested, have I used sulphur? So, using a sulphur solution I made up, these are the results after me practicing, and I think it's cracked it. It's turned out really nice. I haven't finished it, I haven't done this the rest of it. I'm just on the top half at the minute. But as you can see, it's kind of recreating that. It's as good as I'm going to get it, I think. It makes me wonder. I mean, surely that was done on purpose. This, when you see it in real life, that really stands out. So they must have done that on purpose, and maybe they did use sulphur. They could have used boiled eggs. I don't know. Was that something that they done? I know they were really skilled goldsmiths and could manipulate the coppers and such like in the metal, in the gold, and heat it to a specific temperature to recreate some different colours on the finished gold. I don't know. Maybe there's a bit of it while it's been in the ground, that it's some kind of patina on top of the. Or another thought is maybe that was a cheap way of recreating what garnets look like. Don't know, because normally them segments have garnets in. But either way, I'm really pleased with how that's turned out, or how it's turning out. I've still not finished it. I've still got a bit more to do on it, but it's looking good. I've kept the nails in the same position as the original as well, and I've kept them silver as well. So I think it's coming along nicely.